My name is Quentin Pierce, and today I'll be doing a presentation on the play A Raisin in the Sun. I would like to start by saying that I love this play. I think that it did a very good job of representing poor people in the 1950s and 60s. And I also think that it represented the racial and gender divides very well within society and even within families. So to start off, I would like to talk about the narration of this play. So in the play, there really isn't a narrator. All of the story and the motivation that the characters have is shown by the characters. There's no one telling us that someone feels an emotion. The characters just have to show that emotion. And I think that that's an extremely strong way of, writing a story or doing a play. I think that showing people the emotions people are feeling really gives a harder punch than just saying that a person was sad or a person was happy. So because of that, I think we should talk about the characters' motivations, because that's what's really driving their performances in this play. The first character I would like to talk about is Walter. Walter's motivation throughout the whole story is money. He wants money so that he can feel successful, so that he can, escape his demeaning job, and so that he could give his family anything that they want. Now, this isn't his only motivation. Another motivation he has is that he wants to be supported by the rest of his family. He's motivated by this idea that he can one day be respected. He wants his wife to support him in everything he does. He wants his mother to back him up with the $10,000. Those are his dreams. The next character would be his mother. The grandmother in this story, her main goal is keeping this family together. And the way that she goes about doing that is by using the $10,000 that she's being given to buy a house. She believes once the money is out of the picture and the house is bought, that everyone will come together to make that dream of owning a house come true. And another person who has a lot of motivation behind her actions is Benita. She's the sister of Walter, and she's motivated by this dream of leaving the family. This is mostly due to Walter and the grandmother. Walter's motivation of money and his idea that everyone should back him up results in a lot of misogyny. And the grandmother is also quite a bit misogynistic because of her, she's just older, she is more tradition-based. And because of that, she wants to escape. We can see this when she tries to start dating a Nigerian man, starts accepting his culture, and tries to become a doctor as a woman, which people in the family have issues with. So now that we're done talking about the narration of these, the motivation of these characters, I think that describing the characters in more detail is important. So Walter, as we see in the story, is just tired of everything. He's tired of his wife. He's tired of the job he has. And all he wants to do is what he wants to do, which is invest money in a liquor store and make a bunch of money. The grandmother, she's very traditional. She believes in God. Unlike Walter, who is obviously misogynistic, her misogyny isn't really on purpose. We can see this in two separate situations. Near the beginning of the story, we can see that she fully supports Benita in becoming a doctor. She pays for her tuition. But at the same time, when Ruby becomes pregnant, when she goes to see a female doctor, the grandmother doesn't support that. So we can see that just because of her belief in tradition, she has some views that kind of conflict with each other. I think that Benita as a character represents the younger generation who don't really care as much about family, instead focus on themselves and their own success, whether that's for better or for worse. This is shown in her advances towards Asagai and her acceptance of some of his new beliefs over her family's beliefs. And then talking about the setting, The setting in this story is very important, and there really is only one setting, and that's the apartment. I believe that this setting makes the entire story feel very tense and cramped, which makes the dialogue much more effective. It's almost as if everything could just burst at the seam at any second. The setting allows us to understand just how poor this family really is. For example, in the beginning of the story, the family has to take turns using the only bathroom in the apartment, which makes everyone late for what they're supposed to be doing, whether it's a job or school. And I think that this apartment really just shows, what this family is at the beginning of the story and where they're coming from. After that, we have the symbolism of the story. One symbol of the story would be the check. For some of these family members, it represents liberation, prosperity, and freedom. With this money, they have the ability to just make all of their dreams come true. Either having a way to escape poverty, or buying a house, or being respected. And then for some other family members, it represents anxiety and an abandonment of their values. This is because the check creates a lot of infighting, and it reduces everyone's desires and solutions down to money. So instead of worrying about maybe family or things of that nature, all that people like all that people like Walter care about is the money because of the check. So it kind of just represents materialism coming into their lives and overtaking everything because that's all they can think about because they're poor. They don't have the time or the money to think about anything else. Finally is the theme of the story. I think that the story seems to be about the many dreams that the family members hold and how they change or cause conflict. The title of the play is based on Langston Hughes' poem, which talks about dreams shriveling like raisins in the sand. I believe that the idea that some dreams must always be abandoned due to your current situation or in order to achieve the greater good is the theme of this story. By the end of the story, everyone agrees that owning a house is the true goal and is what will keep the family together. And they all have different ways of going about getting the house. Walter ends up taking the $10,000 and instead of putting it as a down payment, decides to invest in the liquor store, and that causes a lot of issues. But in the end, they all decide that the house is the best thing for them. Walter even going far enough to use his ideas of independence and escaping their lower class situation to basically tell the person who's trying to get them not to buy the house that they're going to buy the house and that they're going to live there, and nothing he can say or do is going to change that. So with Walter, we see a lot of character development. And I think that the theme about, having to change your dreams really affects every single character. Benitha starts to become more family-based. And then you have a character like Ruby, who in the beginning it seems like has given up, but by the end, she also agrees that the house would be best for everyone. So that is everything. That is my presentation on A Raisin in the Sand.